Hey everyone. So today I'm joined by Zikea, and she's basically the wellness program director here. And she's interacted with hundreds of clients across different cultures, different geographies, different work settings. And so basically, she knows how the inner workings of companies are across different environments, basically. So, yeah, thanks for joining us today, Zikea.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about recognition programs in companies and organizations. So I'll just give a brief overview. So we all know what recognition programs are. They've been around for a long time. They're basically ways to kind of reward employees for their good work. So they can be in many various forms, such as, say, a monetary reward or some kind of, say, even a shout out in Teams or Slack, a verbal or written shout out, whatever it is. But basically, the point of discussion is going to be, are these recognition programs actually effective today, whatever people are putting out in their companies? And so, in effect, with that, let me just get straight into my first question, which is that. So what is the dumbest recognition initiative you've seen in a company that's actually been rolled out? So the one where people, smiled in agreement in a meeting, but then later on in a parking lot, they were kind of like laughing about it and, basically stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. I would say one of the, I guess I wouldn't call it dumbest, but like the oddest that didn't resonate, was like having like a random like ice cream sundae bar or something in the office. And I think it was a little, tone deaf. I don't think the employees were really looking for that as a form of recognition or, kind of like a reward or something like that. So I feel like a lot of employees were kind of like, okay, but it wasn't really like hitting the mark.
Right. I can see how that can be come across as sort of like awkward and odd, like a random ice cream sundae, like out of the blue. And so, so this is actually a good point, right? So this kind of like I would say like an haphazard kind of program. So most companies, so this company would have probably said that we do have a recognition program in place. And so most companies I've also talked to, they say something like this, like, oh, we already have a recognition program in place, something, we already have a software for it or whatever. But then when I go and ask these same employees of these companies, they kind of go like, we don't know, is it actually there, is it not there? There's basically a gap over there. So what do you think is actually happening there?
Yeah, I think when it comes to a lot of like rewards and recognition options, it really comes from like the higher ups picking whatever they think is best. And that's what makes it not really resonate with the employees. I think employees think of it as one way, and management may think of it as another. And I think that that really causes that gap between, hey, we are doing something, but like also employees feeling like nothing is being done.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that the employees don't really get the full transparent picture of what the higher ups are putting out?
So it's not like they kind of get it, but like what higher ups are putting out isn't for the employees themselves. It's kind of just what they assume people may want, but not what their specific demographic needs.
Right. So you're saying it's not really adapted to everyone specifically,
Hmm.
personalized for everyone specifically. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I see. So that actually brings up a good point, which is that usually HR people don't really know or want to know about what employees' personal like preferences are. And so have you heard any other like odd advice about recognition that keeps getting kind of repeated in the HR circles that you privately think is wrong or kind of like off, maybe?
Yeah, of course. That's another really good question. So one thing that I think is kind of off is like feeling like you just gotta do recognition like once. So like all you gotta do is host like one recognition program and that counts. Because I think that when it comes to your employees, yes, of course, it's good to show them they're appreciated on like a random Friday or something. But if you really want to keep the momentum and you want to keep like employee morale high, you want to make sure you're doing something regularly. And I think that's the part that gets really misconstrued, because a lot of companies are like, hey, we put this thing in place, that's it. But it isn't too, it's not regular. Sometimes it's not super detailed, or it's not truly like engaging. And that's the part too that I think they don't get information on.
Mm-hmm. So do you think this is more about like, um, is it actually like planned from the company side or the HR side, or do you think it's kind of like, we just don't know, so we just put it out once and then, whatever, forget about it.
Yeah, I think more so like, hey, we just put it out once and like that's it. Because I do think that there's that disconnect in actually knowing what it needs to look like or what an effective program looks like. And I also think a lot of HR professionals are overwhelmed. So they're just like, hey, people want a recognition program. Let's just throw this out there so we can like check a box.
Mhm.
So I think that's another thing too, is like the thought that you just have to check a box with a recognition program and not actually like invest into what's happening.
Right, 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 right.
Hmm.
So it's more of like kind of just taking off a checkbox than to actually like, put in the effort and recognize someone. Right.
Exactly, exactly.
Mhm. So, staying on the ticking off a checkbox kind of thing. So, when a recognition program shows good numbers on paper, like, high participation rates, lots of posts or words going out. So, how do you know the difference where it's like, is it an actual like real impact? It's a real good program, or is it just like, it's some kind of the team gaming the metrics in some way, or like, just say putting out a post and calling it recognition or something like that. So, how do you differentiate the two?
Yeah, that's also a really good one. I think one of the biggest ways that I will differentiate the two is one, that employee pulse survey, which is another thing I think, kind of leads to the whole what do employees want. So
Hmm.
actually going ahead and surveying them to see, hey, what impact is happening, especially after each of your like recognition initiatives. So maybe
Hmm.
you're doing something where managers can shout out their employees. And then
Hmm.
maybe after that, after a quarter of doing that, you do an employee pulse survey and you're able to really see how they feel about it. I think that's really the main way to actually measure impact. And also, I want to say when it comes to like numbers, you want to make sure that your retention rate, like overall for employees, starts to increase. Because the thing about recognition programs is we want employees to feel seen so that they want to stay, they feel supported by the company. So that's what causes like a lot of turnover, not having those things. So also paying attention to your trends there. Are you retaining more employees? Are you seeing high turnover? If you are, is it in specific areas? And if so, what do they need in order to feel seen and appreciated? So I would definitely say the feedback directly from the employees themselves, and then also checking out your retention rates and making sure you're keeping your employees.
Right, 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 right. So, okay, coming to the final question, which is basically just an amalgamation of whatever we've talked about. So, if you were to
Mhm.
build a recognition program from scratch, so, whatever you mentioned, the feedback part, the not once a year, it's basically a regular thing part, the
Mhm.
transparency part. So, if you were to include all of that and build a recognition program from zero, so what would you actually build, and what would you also leave out entirely, which is kind of like the main thing?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So what I would actually build, well, I would one start from that employee survey, learning what our employees need, learning what the difference may be. And then next, of course, you gotta, well, there's no budget line. So once I kind of say, okay, we get what they mean or they need, now how do we deliver this in the best, most effective way that still helps us reach our values and goals as a company? So maybe you're setting different milestones for specific things or like birthdays, yearly anniversaries, maybe when there's a big event, a sale, a merger, you're making sure that everybody gets a piece of the pie. So that's something else I would do. Sometimes we think it just has to be a singular thing, like, oh, hey, here's a gift card, but really making your employees feel like a part of that overall company and that when the company wins, they're winning. Something I would leave out entirely. Honestly, I would probably leave out, kind of going back to the first question, is like these pop-up food options. Like food is always great, yes. Having a sponsored lunch is always an awesome form of like a reward or recognition or showing appreciation for your employees. But that's not the only way you can show appreciation for them. So making sure you diversify those options. I would definitely throw out the, hey, we found our lane that works, let's just stick here. And another thing I think I would completely throw out as well is like not using technology in it too. I think very often we only focus on like, oh, we have to do things in person, but there's so many digital options you can now provide for your employees, especially when we think about the remote world. People are so disconnected. People don't feel like they're appreciated. They feel like they're just logging in to do something. So, making sure I would definitely tap into that digital aspect of rewards and recognition as well.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's actually, I think that would be make for a great recognition program. Basically, just keeping it open, personalized for the employees, and also kind of
Hmm.
just um repeating it. Basically, it's not a one-time thing. So, yeah, I think that would make for a great recognition program. Okay, so I think that's what we I had for you, Zikea. So again, once again, thanks for joining. It was great hearing your insights and for your time. Yeah, so thank you.
No problem. Thank you, everyone.